gonna sub the concrete out anyhow. That's all I have.
Okay.
I have a question for you. Mastella Road. That little piece of Mastella. Did you guys take a peek at that? I don't know whether that's your side or whether it's West Virginia's side.
That's West Finley.
Pop-
We don't have a map down
We don't have
there.
it.
That's West Finley.
Isn't that a piece, Dongle right there? I don't even know
No.
where Mastella Road is. Comes off of Bear Rock Road.
Yeah, that's
We don't
West
have-
Finley. That's Tom.
That's West Finley.
Tom's right on the line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you what,
I
the
apologize
line-
then.
The line runs, the West Virginia line runs right between Patty's barn and house.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
West Virginia line, but that there, right there, yeah, because the other line goes across from my barn over that way.
Yeah,
And they're in
I thought it
West
was
Finley.
Dongle because of, the way we were dispatched with the fire department right there. That's why I thought that was Dongle.
No, it's West Finley.
It's West Finley then.
Yeah.
I'll see them.
Tommy, you doing fire department?
I am.
Okay.
Standing up for chief. So last month, between 5/1 and 5/31, we had 3 EMS calls, 17 fire calls, total of 17. Pre-incident value of $450, losses of $450. We had 6 aid given and 2 aid received. 6 of those were overlapping for 30%. The response time was 3 minutes for EMS. Fire was 12 minutes for an average of 11 minutes and 54 seconds to call to arrival. Turnout time was EMS 2 minutes and fire was 6 minutes for an average of 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Average on-scene time was 51 minutes and 4 seconds. There were a total of 280 people for a total of 631.74 man-hours for the month. I also have something else I thought I was going to be on the agenda for. Am I later, or should I do that now for the department?
I think we could just make a statement if you're gonna talk about the fundraiser, or,
Yeah,
yeah.
for the building.
Yeah,
Um,
I can just make a brief statement on it, Tom.
okay.
We, each of the supervisors, at least I did, I think Dave did, I don't know whether Zach did or not, received a letter to us from the West Alexander Volunteer Fire Company, and asking us to help with their building project once more, and help them relieve the mortgage on it, which is what, about $100,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we have a 15-year mortgage, 4.75%, $100,000.
Yeah. And I'll say the same thing I just said 5 minutes ago, when we see how much Act 13 money we're gonna have in on my recommendation. We see what we can do, but I think we need to hold off till we know exactly what our Act 13 is gonna be, if we're gonna get Act 13. But right now, there's some question of whether or not there's gonna be any. Correct?
Well,
We're
we're
gonna
gonna
get
get some, the question is the formula on conventional wells, unconventional wells, based on the Supreme Court decision. That's what's being worked through right now.
Well, some of these townships, I know that have done some long-term projects with the anticipation of that money being there.
Believe it or not, there are some townships that put that money in general fund and they're in their township, which is improper. Yeah, there's somebody in big trouble that doesn't get that money.
You got anything else, Tommy?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Well, since Eric's not here, we'll skip the fire marshal. Water and sewage?
Yeah, it's not been a good water and sewer month. We had a break on the line at the fill station, which did considerable damage to the walls and the building. We do have an anticipated cost of $2,300 to make the repairs to the bulk water system. I'm certainly not a plumber, but they're telling me that there's such the water comes out of there so quickly and so much pressure that, water going on and off made the plastic lines inside break. That plastic plumbing that led to this thing broke. And, the plumber that has been in there to look at it suggested that we tear out the, drywall and whatever else is on the walls and fasten the new plumbing directly to the wall. And the plumbing be copper rather than plastic. And, that's going to be $2,300 to fix it.
Did the plastic break or
Yes.
did the fitting?
Well, I don't know, it failed, the system failed, Ed could tell me more, he's seen it, but I can't, they tell me it's failed. Ed, you wanna address this question?
It comes off of your main, comes up, and there's a shut-off valve. At the top of that shut-off valve, it blew apart. We cleaned it up, re-glued it, stuck it back together, waited about 45 minutes. Went up the street, turned the main back on, went down, started cracking that valve. We had everything open and it blowed again. They run that thing about half cocked down there. They have a ball valve and they don't even have it running full force coming out the hose to the outside. The plumber, Dan Woods, was down there. I met with him. He said, you gotta put unistrut on that block wall. He called them hydro clamps or something. They got a rubber bushing in them. And he said, put that all in copper, and he said, you're never gonna have a problem. They gotta have a restoration company come in down there and do some work to fix this water damage. It's already got black mold growing on the walls.
It don't take much to drop.
So they're doing that, and he wants to get in there and mount this stuff to the masonry before they come in there and do that and let them drywall around, whatever they gotta do after that, and make this a sure thing. We was gonna go down and fix it, but I told Tammy and Doug, if we fix it and it blows apart again, we're not certified plumbers. Is insurance company gonna cover it?
On top of that, we had a lot of water loss. How many gallons?
About 80,000.
About 8,000 gallons.
Yeah, it had that room full, it was running out the door.
Yeah.
Hey, and did anybody mention about putting a regulator on it so it wasn't so high pressure before it gets to that valve? Because that's what most people, that's the way most of them are set up
I
by
don't know
fill stations.
what he said it'll handle it if you put it in copper. He said it'll take whatever you wanna put through it. He said it's just that plastic. What it is, Darren, is when they put their money in outside and that thing kicks on, that line actually jumps.
Yeah,
They
you
make
can water
a hammer,
it.
they make a hammer arrestor. You put a key in the line, and it's a piece of pipe about this long, and it has a coil and it has air in it. And when that water takes that shot through there,
Yeah,
that
put it
thing,
up the spring.
There's something in there. He said a check valve of some sort that's up in
there should be a
there.
hammer arrestor. It's called a hammer
It's got a
arrestor.
fitting on the bottom and a fitting up here. I don't know anything about plumbing. I mean, I can jerry rig it together, but that's about all
Well,
I
it
do.
doesn't tell you there's a 24-hour set time on water line plastic.
Yeah.
That's why 45 minutes didn't.
Yeah. And well, with that thing jumping like that, it was,
Try your best.
yeah.
Well, but anyways, as subsequently, there is no bulk water filling right now.
Another question I have, if that's a water treatment, that's a water plant down there, I never was in one that had drywall finished walls in it. I mean, why aren't they just using the block walls, paint the block walls?
And that's whenever
That
they
just
built
seems
it.
like that's
Probably
overrated.
whenever they built
Nobody's
that,
living there.
whenever they built that project, they probably.
Yeah, it's not green board or nothing. It was just regular drywall.
Doesn't make any
And they
sense.
got a
No,
bathroom
I don't know why
on
you
this
wouldn't make
side, so it's a
block walls.
dividing wall.
Well,
But
it
the block
it's
walls
increased the
there, I
cost of the
don't know.
project.
I don't know why they did.
Engineers make money
But
based on
that water was
dollars.
shooting so hard, it peeled the drywall off the ceiling. It peeled the paper and everything off.
Anyway, that's the status of that. This is supposed to be repaired
He's
this
supposed to be in
weekend,
Friday morning.
so it's hopefully, by Monday morning, we'll be back up and.
He said probably by Saturday, at the latest.
Yeah, and we did get was it last month, we had our huge bill from our plant operator, it was over $4,000. This is considerably more than $1,500 that we used to pay a lot of the time. Yeah.
I had a question.
Go, JD.
Darren asked half of it. But do we know how long that was leaking? You say you lost 80,000 gallons and there's all that damage.
I don't know what hours Anybody looking at that
Wouldn't
plan?
take long if it was coming out.
It's not that big of a line, it's not gonna take very long to
Right.
run that kind of gallonage.
When the other thing I was gonna ask is related to what Darren asked, if they didn't fix it yet, if they're restorations, why don't you tell them you don't want drywall in there? I mean, it's,
They're not gonna put drywall.
I mean, that's pretty pointless.
I'm pretty sure of that, are they? Maybe on the ceiling.
They said they're putting some kind of green board or
Green board probably.
something, I don't know.
Concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're. Yeah, if the water line gets fixed and puts in the coffer, you should never have another problem with it. I mean,
Okay.
Any other questions? Code enforcement officer, anything?
Says here that he worked 20 hours, period of May 11th to June 14th. For the 3 violation notices, the 2 were grass and exterior conditions. 0 were junk cars and parts. 1 was structure violations. 0 permit violations. 0 miscellaneous violations. There were 0 citations. 1 prepare evidence for hearing. 0 hearings. There were 19 investigations / inspections, 6 of which were grass exterior conditions. 1 junk cars and parts. 6 structure violations, 0 permit violations, 6 miscellaneous violations, follow-up, and 3 campground site inspections, and granting of extensions, 0.
Engineer, we,
Yeah, well, Ed's already delivered part of the message, and I actually have it written down on my paper for motions later. He suggested we reject all motions on the new garage. Yeah, reject all bids and rebid it as a 2 separate packages, and then have a separate thing down below on that. And there's no other.
listener,
Just highlight a couple of points. Probably should have brought this up when the Columbia representatives were here, but Ed, are they implementing the procedures that we agreed to following the temporary closing?
Yeah, they reopened the road, they're done hauling off the site. They said they may have 1 or 2 loads, but it's gonna come to the township building, it's gonna be, topsoil. They brought us some topsoil. It's a matter of us getting caught up on what we're doing, we're gonna go up there and re-ditch that road again, and then they're gonna take care of the cartway. We're just gonna maintain the ditch on it, and the road should be back. It's got a nice base in it, they put a lot of stone on that road. But, you know, they've also run the road, so.
Yeah. Okay. Meeting next week, Dave, we'll get back to you with the exact date and time and place. Gordon, before the meeting, we talked a little bit about Tunnel Ridge. My recommendation, as I indicated, is that we enter into a developer's agreement. Let's let Tunnel Ridge represent in writing to us what they're willing to do. I believe, according to Gordon, they've agreed to their scope of engineering services. They're going to be paying for that. The deal is they want the work to be done through the township, but they're going to pay for everything. So I think we can handle that with a developer's agreement, require that we get an estimate from the Senate. They post 110% of that amount to guarantee payment to contractors and proceed that way. So ball's in their court. We'll wait to see what they come back with. That's all.
Gary, I have a question on that. Whenever you do that where you have an outside company come in and bid something for you as a township, and somebody else is paying for it, do you still have to send it out for bid and it has to go to 3, for the lowest bid, or can that person say, I want this person to do it because they do a better job?
No, it'll have to be bid.
Well, I
If
didn't.
it's over 20,500, I haven't seen any numbers yet. I would imagine it's going to be.
Oh, I would say to go that far with it.
But I think I want to treat it as a developer's agreement, because it's what it is. It's an infrastructure, it's a water line, the MPC covers all the procedures, and that protects the township. They're going to pay for the engineering, they're going to pay the full cost of what it's going to take. I just want to make sure that the money's there so that we can pay contractors. So that's going to,
Right.
that's where we get the money in a developer's agreement.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about that. I just didn't know if an outside company was paying through the township, if they got a choice of who did the work to make sure that they got done, to what they were used to.
This will have to be bid.
planning commission.
We had one subdivision from my dad, Bob Rogers. We sent it on for approval. 2 campground applications, the Plymouth application and the Charles. We'll send both those on for approval by the board. We passed the zoning ordinance on back to you guys. Vote was 3-3, as Commissioner I cast the deciding vote and we passed it back to you guys.
No problem.
That's it.
Police Department report.
Yes, sir, not much for the month of May. Did 185 calls for service. Initiated 9 investigations, to include 1 criminal mischief, 1 DUI, 5 thefts, 2 harassments. Of those 9, 5 have been closed, 4 remain open and under active investigation. Property loss for the month of May was approximately $10,151.40. In April, officers conducted 30 traffic stops and produced 16 traffic citations, as well as investigated 6 traffic accidents. There were 2 non-traffic citations issued. We patrolled approximately 4,738 miles and used approximately 375 gallons of gas. Attached were the copies of the Buffalo and Claysville report. May 24th, we hosted an informal informational meeting with the public. The response was encouraging, and we hope to have one every quarter. Similar meetings being planned for Claysville Borough. That's it for the May report. We've also received a lot of complaints about the increased truck traffic because of the fracking. We actually have a rollover that they failed to report in the township. We met with Range and the company. It was Equipment Transport. And Range has agreed to, and we've done this in the past, Range has agreed to help financially offset some additional patrol hours for the township. So we've already started with that. And they're providing 15 additional hours to us, 15 additional hours to Buffalo Township. And the purpose is to have the guys out there watching where they're running, watching the frac, the routes, and stopping anything they see. Speeding, again, here in the borough, or in the village, and we're trying to address it as best we can. And that's really about it.
I got a couple questions on the car. As far as the decals, where are we at with the decals on the car?
We talked to Kurt Friday. He still doesn't have the decals. He's supposed to call me when I come in. I'll call him again probably the end of the week.
We paid for these decals April 20th, I believe. If he's not gonna do it, we need to find someone that will do it.
He's gonna do it,
Why is it taking so long?
because we pay for it and then he orders it, so he doesn't get stuck with it.
It says approximately 21 days to receive the decals after they paid for it.
Sir, it's been this way since I got here. This is how we've done business with Kurt.
Yeah. And then the other police car, it was involved in it got hit by a deer, or a deer hit it, I guess.
Yes, sir.
That was in 2/5/17,
Might have been.
or 2/5, yeah, 2/5/17.
Yes, sir.
We already received a check on it.
Yes, sir. I found that out. Yes, sir.
The car's still not fixed yet.
No, sir. I'm waiting until we put the other car on the road so we don't have one car.
We was in such a hurry to get that car.
Mr. Healy, as we talked the last time we ordered a car, it sat at the upfitters. And we were upset about that. So this time, I explained when I brought the car back, that it wasn't ready to go on the road, but we were gonna have it sit here instead of at the upfitters until it was ready. I
Well,
believe that was in an open.
I would say if the decals aren't ready by the next meeting, we need to find someone else to do it. That's just my opinion.
I have a question.
Well, we're also waiting for a front bumper or brush.
Yeah, they're on the front of it, there's a brush guard. The center portion is in, the 2 side pieces are back ordered. We actually had a spare one for an old car we had here. They drove down from Johnstown and tried to fit it, but it won't work.
They notified me today they were gonna be here one day next week, I don't remember the day. And I contacted them to find out where it was at.
They tell you I talked to them yesterday, sir?
No, they did not.
Okay, well, you should call them back because I spoke to them yesterday on the phone, they're supposed to return my call. They probably didn't call me back today because they figured that I already knew.
Well, I'm telling you right now. I mean, they said there's a date and time they're coming. I will forward it on to you.
I appreciate it.
Maybe anything else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I probably missed it. How many hours did you have?
Do we provide?
Yes.
We work, it's pretty consistent. We do a minimum of 496 man hours. Now, we're over that with our Buffalo hours and with this range detail. But that's our agreement with the state, is that we would provide a minimum number of hours. I don't usually report the total number of man hours, but I mean, we can if it's of interest. Yes, sir.
Could you make a suggestion on the range thing? When those lead, like they have Magna running lead on those trucks, they run with their lights whether they're pushing for somebody or not. So, like me, I'm coming up the road with
They're
the
not supposed to. That's part of what we've been watching for.
I come up the road with a hay bond, I see the light on, I get off the road and I sit there after the truck goes by, and there's no traffic.
You're waiting and waiting.
Waiting.
No, and that's part of what we're watching for. Another thing they're doing is they're getting out and they're throwing a block car out there, and then they're letting their whole caravan go through. And Range has been supportive of us. They encourage us to cite them when we see the violations.
That light deal is
It's
a pain, it's a pain for anybody that's
And they
running.
recognize that, and that's the reason that they're trying to provide, they're trying to help us with putting out the extra patrols.
Well, just a pain.
Anybody else?
Can we open a window?
Windows don't open, they fall.
Office?
Not much happening here in the building. We do have, we've had a repeated request from the daycare center upstairs in regard to the heating ventilation system. And we do have prices on, have received prices on that. And the proposal that has been submitted is to do the heating and air conditioning for the whole back side of the top floor. Currently, a couple of those rooms, 3 of the rooms do not have heating or air. She's wanting to rent more space from us to take, in fact, she told me that she'd take the whole floor if it was available. So, we do have a price from Stuart Sheet Metal. What was the total price on that? 10,000. Then there was an additional gas line to be upgraded. The gas line is not sufficient upstairs. It need to be updated, upgraded, a 1-inch gas line. So it comes
So
to
10,000 plus the gas line.
Yeah, the gas line is separate, needing the 10.6 total. We talked about this a few months ago, and I asked if Act 13 funds could be used for that, and the solicitor indicated that it could. If that's, do we have it on the agenda, or is it, let me see it.
No, sorry, you guys already voted on it before.
Yeah. I don't know, and then the motion, we probably should put it on here. We talked about it a few months ago. But I'm making a motion on time.
Additional motions.
What's your motion?
Well, it's
It'll
gonna
be down under additional motion.
additional motion.
Also received solicited and received a quote to finish the first floor hallway, which means to drop the ceiling, paint the walls, put new lighting fixtures in, upgrade it to make it look like the rest of the hallway out here. And that was a separate bid from Wesley Contractors, who did a lot of the work here in this facility for us. I've always been very happy with them. Actually going to Griffith Home Services now. It's a different name.
He did change it, yeah.
Okay, and the price is $8,500. And that's to install acoustical tile, 2x4 tile, ceilings to be framed, finished in all windows, door transoms, to allow light to still come in, all exit signs to be relocated to ensure they're visible. Ductwork will be relocated where necessary. 8 new 2-foot by 4-foot light fixtures installed, ceiling and wired to the existing switches. So to bring the rest of the floor up looking the same. I don't have anything else to report under the officer building. The auditors have finished their audit. I had a brief discussion with them. and he hasn't told me what it says. He did say that I guess I said, well, how much money is missing? He says none, so it's no surprise to anybody here. He will meet with me at some point, and we're gonna give me a brief review of his findings and report, and then they will schedule come to one of our public meetings and give a public report and question and answer session. So that's where we're at with that. We paid them yet, all? Everything they're paid entirely?
I believe so.
Public comment on the items on the agenda. Go JD.
I just wanted to reserve the right to comment as they come up rather than ahead of time.
No, we're gonna do it this way.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Are you still on the floor, JD?
If I gotta speak now instead of as they come up, one of them pertains to me, so I figured I'd speak when that came up. I think that's more appropriate than ahead of time. And just, it's easier to address them as they come up instead of bouncing back and forth, if that's okay.
Since that motion's about him, I don't see where, my suggestion is we allow him to talk during his motion.
It's fine. Go Darren.
Whenever you said you're gonna do this out here, redo that hallway, is there, because they've been in here and worked before, or because it's a dollar amount where you don't have to bid it out?
Well, both. I mean, they've done a lot of the small jobs in this building, and they're very timely, and they've done a very,
Right,
more
but
a
that
more than
doesn't-
adequate job.
But that doesn't say that you can do without a bid. Is there a
Yes.
certain dollar amount?
Yes, there is. It is.
What's the dollar amount?
10.5
Is that what, I knew it was, I thought it was 10 or 10.
for one person, and then 10.5 to 19.5, you have to get 3 written bids.
Right.
Anything over 19.5, you get.
And anything under 10.5,
You
you
go
can
with a
just-
single individual.
right, you can just vote on it there and boom, you go do it.
Right.
That's what I
Does that
thought.
include change orders?
Actually,
I don't know, Gary, would that include if they would decide to do change orders?
yeah,
Because I know at the school,
No,
when he worked on the school, change orders killed everything.
I would recommend not doing change orders, because one of the problems with avoiding bidding is
You're
do a
right.
project and then do change orders, and I would advise against it.
Every time they did something when I was on the school board,
yeah,
the
we-
change orders
I
ended
don't
up
know
being
that
higher.
we've ever had a change order for anything they've ever done.
Okay, well, that answered that
Yeah,
question.
we go over the project in
I
great
mean, that's
detail.
playing a little too cute
Yeah.
to do the change orders, because
I don't think you should be allowed to put them in the bid.
it's a misdemeanor if you avoid bidding. I'm sorry, you wanted me to look at,
I said that those dollar amounts are on there.
oh, they've increased by 200, it's 19.7 now.
Yeah, and the 10,000 one is
Is it 10.5 or
10,700.
10.7, so they've increased it each by
Yeah.
$200 a year. So it's 10.7, 19.7 are the two key numbers.
That's the only question I have.
Yeah, and if they've ever messed with us, we wouldn't bring it back.
Good, Bob.
It was done very well.
Are you going to cover this work with at least a motion?
Yeah, when it comes time, it's not the place to add additions to the agenda.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I do have a question. This thing on Delashon Road. There was a comment made about that they were doing it, and then the township was going to go up and do the drainage work. Why are they doing that? Why doesn't that fall?
They don't have a grader up there, and they pay us when we go up there. They rent the grader, they rent, and they pay the man hours. And they pay total, insurance, everything. Whatever it costs this township for us, they pay the total bill.
Now, that's outside of the hours that you normally work?
No.
Well, then you're going back and you're losing man hours for mowing and so forth.
We gotta ditch the road whether they was on it or not.
How do you think of that? You're right. That doesn't make sense, Ed, because otherwise they're double dipping.
You're not getting double paid for that?
You know what I mean? You should, that didn't make sense. Say it again.
If we go up there, if we have to go up there, if that was just a township road, they were never there, we gotta ditch it,
Right,
okay?
right. I understand that, but since it's all under them, they should pay you the man hours to ditch it.
They're paying the man hours and renting the equipment that we use.
Okay. and they should also be paying for something you should be doing somewhere else, well, however you work that out in math.
Yes.
Because if your guy's up there doing their job, then your guy's not getting paid by the township doing his job.
What I say
Or am I
first,
wrong?
we have to ditch the road regardless if they're there or not.
But isn't there more work now?
There's work everywhere, Bob.
No, I don't mean that, but isn't there more work on this road because of everything that's happened on it than there would be normally?
Yeah, the township didn't do that road was up there for years.
But I don't know. how
I'm
you
just
fix that.
asking, I'm saying, wouldn't it take 2 or 3 times?
Down, you pull the ditch out, it's,
But wouldn't it take 2 or 3 times longer to do what's there to do than it would be on a normal road?
actually not on that one because they filled the ditches with stone, so I'll roll the stone out in the road and then leave it instead of having to pick it up.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Jerry, what's the stipulations on them? They have to leave the road, they have to make the road as good or better than what it was, correct?
That's what we're after in the road bond, the inspection and the maintenance, was to, I mean, in retrospect, had we had all the ducks lined up, we'd have had our engineer that road and give us a written report and say, this is what I recommend be done to stabilize the road before they start construction. But at the very minimum, they have to stabilize, repair, and from their position of representing us, they're gonna improve it. So we'll see.
Good, Jerry.
I'm sorry, because I really don't want to talk about this anymore, but I would agree that, yes, they added tons and tons of stone. The problem is, and that they've widened it in places, and in places that is better, but it's like riding a roller coaster the entire way from the trailer park to my driveway. And beyond that, they're pristine from what they were using all the time from there. The compressor station is great. It has gravel all over it. It's, you know, nice and smooth, but my section is crap.
Well, in the hindsight, the way that problem, I would have preferred had been treated, that would have required a conditional use hearing. We attach all the conditions before the permit is issued. The important part would be a review and inspection by the township engineer with a thorough written report of what it was going to take to stabilize the road. Not to keep it for local traffic.